Welcome to the Coils, Cash and Culture Show, where we sit down with creatives and entrepreneurs at the intersection of Black hair care and business. My name is Taisha Friday, and I'll be your host. After researching the Black hair care economy, I learned in some countries, Black consumers can spend up to 9 times more than their non-Black counterparts on hair care. Despite this unwavering demand, there is still room for innovation in the quality of goods and services available. Through Coils, Cash and Culture, we're going to get a bit closer to the creatives and the entrepreneurs creating new paths in the industry. Black hair is business, so let's get into it. Today, I'm excited to be joined by the 3 founders of the Beauty Genie. The Beauty Genie is going to be a 24/7 vending machine company that's going to provide hair care products for those who need them for textured hair in areas where products are hard to be ordered and found. We have Ebony, we have Quintella, we have Swanzetta on the call. As 3 founders, can you share a bit more about your background and how you came to be founders together?
Absolutely. Good morning, Taisha. My name is Ebony Karim. My background is in the tech space. So I have about 2 decades of experience in providing professional services consulting to the public sector. And that's my background.
Good morning, Taisha. I'm Quintella Rogers. I have over 20 years of experience as a licensed cosmetologist, as well as I have a background working with youth, a master's degree in nonprofit leadership and management, and an undergrad in psychology.
Good morning, Taisha. I'm Swanzetta Lewis, and I have over 20 years experience in social services, working with geriatrics. I'm currently working with children now, and I'm a licensed social worker.
They're very different paths you guys have covered. I feel like everything there is to cover, and you've got 60 years of work experience. Oh, I feel so young. I feel like I've got so much to do. How did you all meet? How did you come to be?
Okay, so I originally just relocated back to Chicago from the DC area. I was out there for about 18 years and decided to come back home. I met Quintella, who was also my personal hairstylist, and her twin, Swanzetta, and I pitched the idea that I had for about the last couple years. I just didn't have the additional bandwidth to take on yet another project. And I kind of pitched the idea to these 2 sisters, and they were eager to join and help me along. So that's how we initially formed a partnership.
Cool. And in your own words, what is the Beauty Genie? I know I gave my overview, but what was that pitch, and has that stayed true?
Good question. I mean, I know I was like so excited initially. One, I thought just from Quintella's background in the hair and beauty industry, I knew she would be really best suited to not only be a partner, but to bring her knowledge and expertise into the field. And so when I felt like, okay, I think this is the time now to do it, I think I really just said, hey, I have an idea. I want to pitch it to you and let me know what you think. And I don't even think I got the entire pitch out because I had it rehearsed in my head. And they were like, absolutely, let's do it. So I was like, oh, wow, that was easy.
Okay. So in your own words, what is the Beauty Genie?
You guys can chime in.
Yeah. So I would say we are a vending machine company who look to place vending machines, as you stated earlier, in mostly like kind of rural areas where there are areas where or places where people cannot access hair care products. So, for instance, we talk, colleges, of course, are one of our ideas of where we would like to be, where we have, a lot of students don't have access to quality hair care products. We also talked about, as you stated earlier, being at Chicago's Union Station. So different places where we can provide quality hair care products. And then also the piece that we've added is that on the vending machines, we will also have video where we'll give tips to, I guess, our customers in terms of how to care for their hair. So, people always ask me as a stylist, how often should I get my ends trimmed? And I'm like, 6 to 8 weeks. Or, what is the best products that we can do? So not also providing quality hair care products, but also that educational piece that we're able to provide as well.
And so when did the initial idea, I know you mentioned, Ebony, you were thinking about this problem that needed solving a few years ago. What happened where you were just like, there's a gap in the market here?
So one, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I'm I'm always thinking of what's next, right? Like, how can I fill a need? So I'm really a solution provider, right? And that kind of comes from what I do for the federal government on the consulting side. So, during COVID, of course, right, a lot of people ventured into, entrepreneurship. And, it was really just me thinking, okay, what problem currently exists in our climate, and how can I fill the need? And so that's initially where the idea came from, because I hadn't seen anything quite like it on the market yet. I know there's a couple sisters, one in LA and one in Baltimore, who have a similar concept, but I think theirs is more specialty products. So they carry hair or, lashes, but none quite like the concept that I had in mind. So yeah, that's where the idea came from.
And then also, Ebony mentioned COVID. I remember during that time, we got pretty much the call that the salons were closing. So I had to close my salon. And of course, everybody spent a lot of time on social media. And I watched a lot of stylists created bundles for their clients to purchase so that they can care for their hair during that time. So when Ebony mentioned it to me, I was like, wow, that's great, because that's what they were doing during COVID. And I thought that was a pretty cool idea, for them to do. So definitely was a really great idea.
Cool. It's interesting you mentioned the link of COVID, because I can say I experienced it in the UK, but I think even in the US, right, as you mentioned, people couldn't get their hair products. And something that was like in the news for us back home was how, because we could only get our black hair products from certain stores, those weren't allowed to be open. However, drugstores, you could get certain services. So we were also, as black women, uniquely, and black men, in a position where actually it was considered not a must-have item, but we didn't have anywhere to get it from. So it's interesting that the timing came out then. As someone who's been in hair, Quintella, why now? So I feel like we all are on the same page that it's hard to get hair products. For you, why did the timing feel right now? Where you were like, I want to jump into this?
Again, like Ebony stated, the idea is very unique. It's something that, a lot of, it's definitely a need, but also it's something that a lot of people, it's just not, it doesn't really exist, not the way that we want to provide services. And also as a hairstylist, I have a lot of clients who go away to college, and they've come, they'll come back home. They're excited about getting their hair. They're like, oh, I can't get this, I can't get that. I have to go to Walmart and Target for this, but they don't have this and they don't have that. So again, when Ebony pitched the idea to me, I was like, man, that's really great. I think I explained it to her as well. Like, I have a lot of clients who go away to school and come back and talk about the lack of, because most, especially HBCUs, are a lot of, they're in rural areas, or even the PWIs are in rural areas where a lot of students don't have access to hair care products. So I definitely could relate when Ebony said that about, it's a great idea, a unique idea, and it's needed. So for me, being in my salon's been open 3 years, so I felt like it was the perfect timing. I had just talked to my sister, and I was like, I want to do something else. So I felt like when Ebony pitched the idea, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Cool. So there's 3 of you. That's, for some people, struggle to work in 3 in a team at their own day-to-day job. Where did you start in terms of dividing up who does what? Because you've all got great experience doing very different things. So how do you each contribute to the business?
You guys go first.
I think we all got a bunch of hats, and we all trying to fix that now. But I think it made a lot of sense for me definitely to be in terms of product knowledge, what products we'll use, what makes sense. So I think for that piece is one that I've really kind of focused on. And we just kind of been just pitching in wherever. Ebony, definitely strategic.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that so eloquently. But no, yeah, I mean, and just to piggyback off of what Quintella stated, her knowledge and expertise has been very crucial, right, in this journey, because one, she's in the industry, right? So I always figured if you're going to do something, you need to have a subject matter expert, right? And that's kind of like, again, based on what I do, right? And I knew that I needed someone who was well versed, and so that's where her expertise comes in very, very handy. And then I think my major roles are just a lot of the sales and outreach, right? A lot of pitching, reaching out to organizations, a lot of the branding and marketing kind of falls in my swim lane.
And then I just would like to add to what they're saying. I think each of us have something unique or have brought some unique idea to the piece. Of course, like Quintella said, she's the expert in hair. And Ebony comes with the whole marketing tool and just the different, avenues that we need to kind of go down and get our product out. And then I'm a social worker, so I'm all about, I'm always looking for resolution and thinking of ideas of what ways, how we can resolve things. And then I don't think I mentioned, I also braid in Quintella's salon. So I'm a braider.
Oh, okay.
And I remember initially when I started braiding, you had so many different braiders who did, I only do this style, only braid, but for me, I've always been able to kind of braid whatever style. So I was not fixated on just doing braids because people come and say, well, this person only braids, knotless braids, or they don't do the different unique styles. And so has been mine, is just to do the trendy braid styles, the styles that people typically kind of stay away from because it may be time consuming or it may be a little difficult to do. So I've always kind of tried to make sure that I was open to doing any, styles that, clients may have wanted.
Cool. Well, we've had guests on the show so far who are solo founders who've talked about the stress of taking it all on and wearing all of these hats. So I think it's interesting how you all are leaning into your strengths to bring something to the business. You mentioned at the top of the call, you guys are twins. Mm-hmm. I'm noticing now, I'm looking at you both and I'm like, oh, they really are twins. What's it been like working as twins together? What are the pros and the cons?
Well, I think we were kind of raised to always be close. Like we were almost had no choice of being inseparable. Like you can't go here without the other one. So we had no choice but to build a bond. But we've always worked together and always been very respectful towards each other, even in disagreements. We need to take a day and not talk, then we take a day. But for the most part, we've always been very, very, very close and respectful. And that really, I don't think we've had any challenges working together.
And then working in the salon, and I'm sure, Ebony can attest, just being, you're working as a leader. I was in Swan as well because she's been, most of her roles been directors, but just kind of setting the tone of your business. So I think the good part is that, besides the other stylists working here, my sister kind of knows how I am. So it's kind of, I don't have to really say what my expectations are and how I want to set the tone. So even with this whole business idea with the Beauty Genie, when we always talk, I always think about my expectations in the salon is like not always that, it's a ton of stylists that can do hair, but what can you bring to the table that's different? And so for me, I always focus on not just being able to do hair, but being able to give an experience. So they'll say, it's experience and not just, because again, you got thousands of stylists. You're going to always have someone else that can do hair. But what are you giving besides that? So mine is always focused on the experience, setting the tone of my salon, professional, people coming there and feeling special and important, each and every client.
When you guys started out, did you think about the things that would stop you guys being successful? And if so, what were they? And how did you overcome them not getting in the way?
Well, for me, I don't think I had any reservations. To be completely
No, we
honest. I don't
did.
know. I've always had the frame of thinking that so one, I'm a huge risk taker, but I'm a calculated risk, right? So again, pulling from my background, providing services to the federal government, there's always some risk involved. But I think as long as you do your due diligence, like I had already conducted, market research years ahead. So I had all of this data collected and stored, and I was just waiting to use it. So, and I kind of initially pitched it to a couple people just to put out some feelers. And they were like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And I was like, okay, I got a winner.
And I think with Ebony, like Ebony said, I'm very positive. Again, for me, my own personal experience, working with youth for over 17 years and my background and having degrees. And I was like, oh, I'm walking away and starting my salon because I always did hair and being a licensed cosmetologist. And they're like, so you got a master's degree and you got this and you're going to leave and go and open your own salon? Like, that's a risk. And so for me, like Ebony said, it's you taking a risk. And so I'm always a positive thinker. I thought about ways that how, my salon can be different. And so I think for me, I just always been positive about, in terms of with the Beauty Genie. I think now we're when we look at something, it's something we might be like difficult, like schools that we're trying to get in, and it might be difficult. I just always think about, okay, well, how can we strategize and look at ways that we can, get into school. I don't take it as though like, oh no, it's not gonna happen. And it's a struggle, and and sometimes you start things out and you plan for it to go one way, and it go a whole nother way. So
Yeah, I don't think we ever had reserve about I think we always kind of talked through the challenges that we may have, but there was never a moment where we said, well, maybe this is not a good idea. It's like we had a challenge that came up. Okay, this is how we're going to resolve it, and we move forward.
Okay, I love that. Glass half full. We've said it a lot, the Beauty Genie. Name's a big deal. How did you all come up with the name Beauty Genie?
We pitched a lot of names.
How many names? How many names roughly do you think you went through?
maybe about 7 or 8. Might have been more than that. We were playing with names, but we were like changing it around. Like, what about the wish box? Or what about so then when we came with the Beauty Genie, right? We came with the Beauty Genie. I think one of us was like, oh, that would be so nice. The logo can be a genie box. I think I might have been the one said that, but we were just all over the place.
Cool. Okay, I like that. I like the name. I just wonder where it's from. Funding your idea. So money can get in the way of a lot of people getting started with their business. How have you been able to get started with the Beauty Genie?
Well, personal funding, right? As
Yeah.
entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, as sometimes we're, we have to use personal funding. So thankfully, we've all been blessed to be in a position to be able to use personal funding. Oftentimes, that's not even, an option. But
Right.
definitely moving forward, we would like to secure, just put it out there for anyone listening, any investors interested.
Right.
Because we definitely see this taking off on a much larger scale. So we definitely don't want to put ourselves in any, additional personal debt, right? Trying to fund the business.
Okay. So in the future, you're going to be pitching, you're going to get investment because we're glass half full people here.
Absolutely.
For you, what sets Beauty Genie fully apart from anyone else that's maybe doing something similar or thinking about something similar? What do you think about the Beauty Genie sets you guys apart?
I think, well, I'll say what I believe that sets us apart is number one is it's a vending machine. It's already for convenience, but I think how we've considered the customers, and we've actually, strategically decided on putting like kits together that will be helpful for someone. If I'm braiding someone's hair, this kit is going to provide a couple of items that you may need, in opposed to, so I think just the packaging of the things that will be in the Beauty Genie will be a great, it's just really, we consider the people that will be using those machines.
Yeah. And then also with the video, like we talked about, and then like Swanzetta just said about the kits. So if you're a person who loves to wear your hair curly, you'll get, it's a package that you can possibly buy. If there's products that you like to, so just not only selling product, but also giving them the knowledge of the product and what it's providing for your hair. So I think just like she said, being able to consider our customer base. And we know as African American women, how we, back and forth with our hair and what curl pattern I'm 4C and my 3C, all of these things that we try to think of, and hopefully we can provide that through our vending machines.
So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I read about you guys, in essence, for anyone listening. No, for everyone who is listening. My sister gave me feedback to stop saying that. So for everyone listening, please Google the Beauty Genie and go read about their story so far. When I read about the concept, my understanding is what there would be items. So I didn't realize that you'd be doing certain packs. So I would love to know a bit more about the approach you've taken to selecting items, packaging items, and also how you're going to incorporate the video element, because I didn't know about that either.
Well, there's an actual screen on the vending machines, so we can upload videos. So again, we will be uploading videos, informational videos, kind of explaining things in terms of hair care, and then the products that we choose are, we know that for at home, a lot of products that people use, we're very familiar with products that we've used, and not just most of the products that we've chosen are quality products they can be pretty kind of in somewhat expensive in the stores, but just being able to bring that to those, like you stated, college students and those people who don't have access to it. So I think that's the part, like we talked about with the, videos and explaining, breaking it down, providing. So if I'm someone who, I might be someone in college who braid hair. Okay, well, it's a kid in there with the most braiders use this particular edge control, along with the brush and the parting comb, all come in one package.
Okay, I love that. By the way, and the reason I love that is because this is really bad. It's probably kind of embarrassing. I actually I had never washed my own hair until I actually moved to university. Like, it hit me when I moved to university and I had to wash my hair. And I was like, my mum has done my hair I have never questioned it or thought about it. And that's where I had to start educating myself. So I love the piece on the education, because I wouldn't have known. I didn't know where to start, and I'm still figuring it out. In terms of design, I want to talk about design a lot. I think design is so important. Again, it goes back to the customer experience and what that's like for them. Vending machines, you kind of hit a very good time. Like, we're at the time where Gen Z, millennials are trying to hang on to this, but Gen Z in particular, all about nostalgia, the 90s aesthetic. So you've landed in a perfect timing for that. What are your thoughts around that full design of the vending machine? And have you taken that into consideration in terms of user-generated content and kind of how this is going to show up when it's out in the wild?
I think so. I think that was how we came up with with our vision and mission statement, right? So again, and Quintella touched on this earlier, it's not only about providing a product or service, but what is the experience that the customer is going to walk away with. So that's why we added that extra element of the videos, because most vending machines are very traditional. Even if it's just lashes or hair, they don't have that extra video element where I can either scan a QR code, right? I can upload videos and tutorials based on my hair texture and type. And so we know there's a certain demographic, right, who's very tech forward and tech savvy, and everything is about quick content, right? So think that was part of our brainstorming and strategy behind making sure that we chose a specific type of machine where it would provide that experience.
And then the youth today are just is microwave. Everything is kind of fast, and I want to get it and leave, and let's go. And so we thought that would definitely tie into that.
Okay. And I know you touched on the quality of hair products, because if we go into any hair shop, there's just thousands. There's just so many products, right, to pick from. With your experience in hair, what do you look for in a quality product? What does that checklist look like for you guys to consider stocking it?
Well, for the most part, paraben-free products, sulfate-free. And the only reason why for that matter is because whether you are someone who wear color or you're natural, you wouldn't have to worry about either of those ingredients affecting the hair, drying the hair out. Most of the time, well, in the past, it used to be where only colored hair care products would come without sulfate or paraben free. So now you pretty much can buy a lot of products that are sulfate and paraben free. And then also just more popular products. One of them are, of course, a lot of Black owned product hairline who focuses. One of the products we're featuring in our vending machines is Miael, which is a Black owned hair care line. And she's really known for her custards and the different things, the rice water, all of those things that are mostly used for African American women use. They sit in my chair most of the time, and I said, "What are you using at home on your hair?" Most of the time, it's, "Oh, I'm using Miael," because it's one of the quality hair care products that you can buy in beauty supplies or even convenience stores or Walgreens and Walmart, places like that.
You all have spoke about the customer being so important, and I know you've been testing. Beta testing is a term that's common to people in tech, which really just means giving access early. How's testing been, and what's the feedback been like so far?
I think the feedback has been phenomenal. Like I said, even before we had an actual visual image to show people, just the concept alone, everybody was sold. Of course, Black women spend the most money on hair care, right? And so when we look at it from that perspective and how much of our dollars are leaving the community also, right? I think that was another concept that we were very strategic in, is how are we recirculating those Black dollars and how are we giving back to the community? So, people hear the idea, first of all, I can go to a vending machine and buy some hair care products. Like, how soon can we get this out here? So I think everybody was really excited because, again, it's been a need for a while, especially in this country. I'm not sure how it is in the UK, but you probably have a similar experience, right?
Very similar.
Right. And it's a global need as well, right? Because we exist everywhere, all over the place. So not just, meeting a need for American women, but, all women of color, I think, because, we come in multiple shades and colors, hair textures and types. And so I think everyone could really relate to like their own personal journey of being in school, traveling, commuting for work, being in a space where you may have forgotten to pack products. You had to throw away products at TSA, which has happened to me.
Yes.
And then getting on the other side of security and like, okay, there's no hair care products here for my hair, or getting to my final destination, which may be in another country. And of course, there's no hair care products there also. So
it is definitely a global need. I'm flying later today to Berlin, and the diligency I had to make of hair care products. I'm away for a few weeks, and I'm like, I cannot be caught without, because I don't know where I'm going to end up, and if I need products, where I'm going to get them from. So it's definitely a global need. So we're we're near launch. Can you tell us about launch, what's happening, what people can expect, where they can find you?
Well, our first installation will be at Chicago's historic Union Station. That will be our first. And then our second, we'll be placing at Olivet College. Ebony is in Michigan.
Olivet, Michigan, correct. Mm-hmm.
So those are our first. So we're, of course, we're looking at other places that we would love to be. Chicago State, where we all are alumni, where would love to be there as well. I mean, it just makes sense.
Where do you want to be in 5 years? In 5 years' time, what do you want to be sitting here? If I interview in 5 years' time, what do you want us to be discussing?
Wow. I think to really see us as a brand and not just a vending machine. I think it has so much potential to be in other types of formats, right? So whether we're doing kiosks, whether we have pop-up stands, I think the longevity of it, right, is there. And of course, ideally, I would love to have a machine in every city, every urban city, right? Every state. So that's the hope for me.
And I would agree. Like Ebony said, just being not just, vending machines, but a brand and open the doors where, where now, we got to put a lot of pressure. But being able to, I feel like if you're a brand, it opens doors easily for you as well.
Would be, like she said, a brand that will be known in every college. The expectations that we, especially for college students, we know how, sending those, we even discussed this amongst us about being away in college and having, family send you these packages for your care, for your hair. So the access to that being on every college, especially our HBCUs, and just being able to provide that in areas that typically you can't find, whether, like you said, airports, whether it be in those rural areas where products are not often or given the options of different hair care products. So I hopefully in the next couple of years that we see this, like this brand everywhere we possibly can get it.
Cool. Well, I have a feeling you're going to do some of that before 5 years.
Yes.
We'll probably be speaking in 2 years.
That's
and you'll be like, you know what? You'll probably say, actually, I can't have all three of you because you're that busy. I'll probably get one of you. Before we wrap up, I have 5 quick fire questions. How this works is every guest has to just answer what first comes to mind. None of them are too crazy. So are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
First question. What's your favorite hairstyle to see just when you're out on people?
Yeah, washing goes for me. Yeah.
People natural hair.
I would agree. Natural.
Okay.
See natural curl patterns.
Okay. You're stuck on a desert island. You can take one product or hair tool. What do you take?
Leave-in conditioner for me.
Edge control.
A brush.
Well, maybe, you know what? All 3 of you be stranded together,
Right.
so you have a better chance of taking care of your hair.
Right.
If you could collaborate with one company, who would it be? If we could make it happen, who would it be?
I would say Miguel.
Same. And then also too, because we have that Chicago connection, right? She's also from the city. So I think it would be amazing for 2, Black women-owned companies from the same city to merge and collaborate.
Yeah.
Or Luster Products too. They're also from Chicago.
There's something in the air in Chicago. I need to get to Chicago. Something happens to Black women there. I need to get to Chicago to get my entrepreneurial spirit going. Music is a big part of hair. When we go get our hair done, we know music's always playing. What songs are you listening to right now on repeat?
Ooh, good question.
You can get your phone out if you want to get your phone out and check.
Yeah, I like a lot of neo soul artists, and I like some of the newer, which I don't know, underground artists that don't have a lot of regular radio play. So I know for me, I love like Alex Isley. I love people like Cleo Soul, Lucky Day, right? That's always playing in rotation for me.
And mine is always, I would say, her, and Ella May, Layla Hathaway.
Mine would probably be NDRE. And I like a lot of rap too. And I like some Chicago.
Who's your favorite rapper? Who's your favorite rapper right now?
Probably Dirk.
Okay, cool. Perfect. The reason I asked is because I'm going to make a playlist with everyone's songs at the end. That comes on the show for series 1. And my final question for you all is, what are you grateful for right now?
I'm grateful for, well, one, grace, right? Humility, I think is always important. And I think fellowship, sister fellowship, Black women have that on lock, right? Like if we don't do nothing else well, we fellowship and have sisterhood. So I'm definitely humbled and blessed to have been able to connect with these two amazing women. Like I stated earlier, I just relocated back to the city from being in DC for the last 18 years almost. And, I had to rebuild here. Like I had to make new connections and build a new tribe. And these two ladies have been absolutely amazing with welcoming me in. And, it feels like family. So I think that's always a blessing as well.
And I think for me, over the last couple of years, I felt like there has always been this boundary with Black-owned businesses, and it's like a breakout everywhere. So I'm grateful that now those opportunities are just so available. We were just talking about yesterday, just so many Black-owned restaurants across the city now, with good quality food. And so for me, I'm grateful just to be able to see all of this kind of turn around in the post of what we've seen in the past, just how Black businesses are emerging. So I'm grateful that, because I feel like if this is just the beginning of it, and like you said, you mentioned 5 years, it's going to be just growing, everywhere, to see Black businesses everywhere. I think that's going to be a big change, not only for just for the upcoming generations to see the opportunities that are available for them.
And I would say the same. I'm grateful for being in the position I am now. Being able to, again, with Ebony, I've always, me and my sister have always said, like, I'm very cautious of, in terms of business wise. Like we always like, oh, if I rented my house, it's a lot of family members I won't rent it to. And so I'm very cautious about connecting with, in terms of when it comes to money and things like that. You have to be very cautious about who you connect with, because it can cause for a lot of relationships to end and friendships to end. So I'm grateful that, of course, my sister, and then with Ebony, being able to go in business with like-minded people who, I'm sure there's been times we probably felt a little heated with you, like, oh, well, but we've always come to terms and worked things out and made sure that all of us felt comfortable in the position we were in, and just getting things done. So I'm definitely grateful to be able to start the journey with two people I trust and are like-minded.
Well, thank you all for sharing that. For anyone who wants to find you online, where can they find you in terms of the Beauty Genie?
So we're on social media, of course, Instagram and Facebook at the Beauty Genie Box, and then also online on our website at beautywishesinabox.com.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you. I can't wait to speak to you in 2.5 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for inviting us to
Chicago, Taisha.
Thank you. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to have to do a trip, and I'm going to let you know so I can meet you in person.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay? Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if we mentioned, just added our first install will be July 1st at Union Station, the historic Union Station downtown Chicago. So
Cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.